Hi guys, it's Heather. I have not long got home from work and I had a new parcel arrive when I got home, so I thought I would unbox my new deck for you and do a quick walkthrough of the deck. I'm sure it's a deck that a lot of people have seen before, but I still thought it might be nice to just have a quick go through the cards and have a look and share it with a few people. Now, it's the Modern Spellcasters Tarot. I bought this secondhand from Tarot Traders EU or EU Tarot Traders. I can never remember what the group's called, but it's a Facebook group. It cost me £14, which is basically a saving of about 35% if I'd bought it new from Amazon. And I'm really impressed with the price because the deck is still in the cellophane. It's never even been used. So I thought that was absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, it does mean you are going to have to struggle with me opening the deck on camera, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that won't take too long. It's a typical Llewellyn deck, so it's by Melanie Marquis, illustrated by Scott Murphy. Comes in a Llewellyn box. It's got a 264-page guidebook. And it says, achieve powerful and diverse spellwork through the timeless wisdom of tarot. Rich in classic symbolism and alive with marvellous details and colour, Modern Spellcasters Tarot is the perfect choice for improving your divinatory and magic practices. And then there's a bit about the artwork. Excuse me. Meditate on the cards for heightened spiritual awareness. Cast a tarot spell for greater prosperity. Connect with the elements for increased personal power. Designed for beginners and advanced practitioners alike, this versatile deck will help you create a dynamic union between traditional symbols and today's human experience. So it all sounds very exciting. I like the design inside the box, if you can see that. Really nice. Really good box, as always. The book is a good, normal Llewellyn chunky style book. It's glossy. It's a glossy book, this one. And I had a quick flick through when I opened the parcel, and it's got your usual chapters in it. So it's got, you know, your breakdown of the deck and how to read tarot and your majors and your minor section, and then your spreads at the end. But one additional thing it had in it that I really liked and is, I think, quite unique to this deck, if I can find it. She says, it's chapter 4, is using the tarot for magic. And I think that's, as I say, quite unique for a tarot deck. So it's got tarot talismans, tarot for magical substitution, simple tarot spell for good luck and success, simple tarot spell for protection, healing or banishing negativity, and circle casting with tarot. So I thought that was really cool, and it's just a slightly different take on the tarot from what we normally tend to find in these types of books. So I'm going to show you all the cards because I can. Feel free to skip through them if you're not interested, but for those of you who haven't seen it before, I thought this might be of interest. The backs are the same design as is on the inside of the box. Again, you can tell when they're reversed, so either the deck is not designed to be read reversed, or I know some people actually like to be able to tell when they draw a card which cards are upright and which cards are reversed before they turn them over. So for those people, that deck is quite well designed, or this deck, sorry, is quite well designed for that. So we'll just go through the cards, and you know, I'm not sure I'll have much to say. It is traditional Rider-Waite symbolism, Rider-Waite-Smith symbolism, so there's nothing that's different from what we've seen before. Again, I'm not loving the Magician. I mean, I like the card. I really like the card. I like that he's got a lightning symbol over his head instead of a infinity symbol. That's a bit different. I like the snake on the bottom. I'm just not sure I like the Magician himself. He looks a bit like stage magician-y for me, which is not my favourite thing. High Priestess, very interesting. She has no face and she also has a baby. I'm not sure about the baby. Babies always make me think of the Empress. And the Empress doesn't have a baby and is green, but she does have a cow, because what every Empress needs is a cow. I like it though, I like that card. The Emperor's very Taurian, very, very Taurian feel to the Emperor there. Like, I'm not sure about the choices for some of the characters to have faces and some not to have faces, and the different colours, like the people on here are green and red. I'd have to read through the book to really understand some of the choices that have been made in these cards. But there are no cards that I don't like, from the ones that I've seen anyway, the ones that I've seen online. I love the Strength card in this deck. I've always been drawn to the Strength card in this deck. I love the little blind monkey. Not blind monkey, but blindfolded monkey in the Wheel of Fortune. The Hanged Man again is an interesting choice, interesting depiction. I love that you've got the dark and the light, so daytime on one side, nighttime on the other. Again, I'd need to really look at the book to really understand the choices, some of the choices of symbolism. But there's nothing really in any of the cards so far that have made me go, oh no, don't like that. So that's always a good start. Very, very cool Devil card. I think that's a really cool Devil card. I really like that a lot. And from what I understand about the deck, it deliberately has some pagan symbology throughout it. As to what that means, again, I would need to look through the book and really like understand the symbolism that was picked for a lot of the cards. But wow, 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 wow. What a very cool judgment. Very, very cool. I like that a lot. Cardstock is actually a little bit thicker than I'm used to for Llewellyn cardstock. It's not quite as bendy as some of the other ones. It's still not thick cardstock, but it's not terrible cardstock. I say terrible, like I think that, you know me, I like the Llewellyn cardstock anyway, but I know a lot of people don't. And this seems a bit more sturdy than your usual Llewellyn stock. A little bit more durable maybe. I like that there's no borders. I'm always a fan of cards that have no borders. I'm pulling silly faces because I forget that you can see my face while I'm doing this. So even though I don't always necessarily understand, just flicking through the cards, the symbolism and the choices that they've made, as of yet, I've not come across any card where I think, well, I don't like that. I don't know why you did that. That's a random choice. Okay, I mean, the knight riding the fish is a random choice. I don't dislike it, but it is a random choice. What are you doing, Logan? My dog is messing around in the garden over there, and I can see him out the corner of my eye. It's very, very distracting. He's not seen me all day, so... You know what I like about this deck? There's a lot of dogs in it. There seems to be a lot of dogs, and I am really liking that. And that, in some ways, it's a nice contrast to the Everyday Witch deck in that respect, because the Everyday Witch deck has a lot of cats, whereas this one seems to have a lot more dogs. Okay, squirrel. So I'm going to guess that the Knight of Swords is on the bird, and the Knight of Wands is on the dog, but we shall see if I am right. Pan. Very cool. I like that. I like the fact that the Five of Wands is more of a mock battle, you know, it's all a bit of fun, but with that bee's nest, there's the potential, that wasp's nest, there's the potential for it to end badly, you know, somebody getting hurt in the process. I'm quite pleased that the swords are at the end, actually. I've discovered, as I've started to collect more decks and I've started to go through more decks, that actually, as well as Strength and the Hierophant being two cards that I always need to check out in a deck. Yep, see, bird. Swords are a deck that's really a suit that's really important to me. I find that the way swords are depicted can very much make or break a deck for me. I just feel very, very drawn to swords as a suit, and the way that they're depicted is such a big part of what informs a deck for me. And this card, the Two of Swords, is a card I've seen many, many times, and is the reason why this deck went on my wish list in the first place, because I absolutely adore this Two of Swords card. I adore it. And I know it's not the classic symbolism that a lot of people like with the Two of Swords necessarily, but I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful card. I like that the Three of Swords has an actual anatomically correct heart, rather than the usual heart shape that we're used to seeing. And wolves. Wolves is obviously a big, big feature for the sword cards. I think this is a deck where I really am going to have to go through the book and have a look at the choices that have been made and why they've been made and what they have to say about the cards to really understand it and to really get to know it. And it's not the only deck like that. I'm finding that the Tower of the Hidden Realms is very similar in that even just reading the stories that comes with the deck, you know, with each card, informs the card so much and has such an impact on how I connect with that card. So this one, you basically have, I opened it straight at Strength, there you go, a full-sized colour thumbnail, which, you know, fair enough. I'm not really bothered either way. I think that's lovely, but I'm not really bothered about this thumbnail because you have the card anyway. It has a description, it has divinatory meanings, I can't speak, reversed, and then magical uses. So for Strength, for example, it says, Good for magic to boost courage, spells to help overcome addiction or other beasts, and for spells to increase confidence and daring. It can also be used for protective and defensive magic. And then the description is basically why the card's been depicted the way that it has and how the depiction represents that particular card. So for strength, again, it says, symbolising the taming of the beast within, strength reminds us that neither the rules and religion of the Hierophant nor the heartstrings pulled by the lovers can match the power of self-mastery. While the chariot conquers with speed and power, flying swiftly away from danger, strength sticks around for the fight, overcoming her foes through patience and compassion. Even though this lion of a world has claws, we must love that beast and ride that beast just the same. Within each of us lies tremendous strength, an animal instinct coupled with a higher conscience. When these forces unite, we become unstoppable. The strength card urges us to feed our passions and face our fears, and to use that energy to propel us towards achieving our grandest dreams and greatest desires. So I like that, and I like that it connects it to the other cards as well. So it kind of tells a story and how that particular card is connected to the other cards. I really like that. So I'd actually finished filming and was getting ready to put the deck away, and I started to think about the fact that actually the cards weren't the way around I was used to. And I started to think about the wands and the swords and how they were depicted, and particularly how the aces were depicted, and realised that in this particular deck, the wands are air and the swords are fire. Now, I get that. I understand that in some magical practices and some pagan practices, those two elements are seen as the other way around. They are seen that way around. The swords are fire and wands are air. I know that that's quite common in the fairy tradition, just to name one, by the is it the Andersons, I think, and that's not the only one. It's not, however, part of my practice. My practice, and also the way that I read tarot, is the other way around. So wands are fire and swords are air. And I'm not sure how that's going to feed into how I read the deck or how I work with this deck. It will certainly change the way that I read it. It will have to, because the cards are depicted in such a way that, you know, the Eight of Swords, for example, is a very fiery card. I think that will be something that's very, very interesting, and something that I will have to really work with and see how I get on with that. If you do have this deck and you are someone who, like me, is used to and prefers the alternative way round, I'd love to know how you got on with this deck. Did you basically read the swords and wands the way that you're used to reading them, or do you actually work with this deck differently to take into account that the elements are different? And how have you found that? So I'd be really, really interested to hear your thoughts on that. Even if you haven't worked with this deck, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on decks that do swap those two suits around in terms of elemental correspondences. As always, drop me a comment below if you've got anything you want to chat to me about. I love chatting with you all in the comments, and I love having conversations with people, so I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Take care, lots of love, bye bye.